Believe it or not, one of the most requested videos on this channel is one about finger containment and finger strength. In this video, I will show you the best finger exercises you can do for arm wrestling, and I'll also give you some important tips that will help you improve your finger strength. On top of that, at the end of the video, I will also cover the topic grippers, because there is a lot of noise around that subject. Let's jump straight into it, and the first exercise is one of the most popular finger exercises in the fitness world in general. Dumbbell finger rolls. The biggest advantage of this exercise is that you can do it in any commercial gym. You don't need a table, a pulley, or any kind of handles. Grab the gym dumbbell and let it roll out until it is on your fingertips. Then curl the weight back up. Very easy to perform, and there is not much you can do wrong for this exercise. Another variation of it is to do it at the pulley. Here you will have to use a normal rolling handle that you find in your gym. Both variations work great. Try them both out and see which one feels better for you. You will not work with heavy weights when it comes to this exercise, so you can use it as an accessory or if you want to actively heal an injury. And because of that, for me personally, the pulley variation is slightly better. Small tip here, if you do this one at the pulley, make sure you can control the weight. Otherwise, it will slip out of your hand and you will have a flying handle. Now, let's take this exercise and put it on steroids. And if we do that, we get a thick barbell lift. This recently became one of my favorite finger exercises because you can target the fingers really well. So there are two big variations you can do for this exercise. You can do it one-handed or with both hands simultaneously. When you do it one-handed, you will also need to use some stabilizing muscles, which on one side makes the exercise more complex, but on the other side, because of the stabilizing muscles, you will not target the fingers at the maximum capacity. My favorite variation, and the one I recommend you to do, is the two hands variation. And the most frequent questions I get when it comes to this exercise is: one, should I start with a straight wrist? And two, where should I place the thumb? And yes, because you want to target your fingers, you should start with a straight wrist. Remember this as a general rule. If you want to target your fingers, the pressure has to be directly on the fingers while your wrist is straight. This rule applies to every single finger exercise. That's why for me, the wrist dumbbell curls in the 45-degree angle, which by the way is one of the best exercises there is a wrist exercise and not a fingers exercise. For the second question, where should you place the thumb? You should place it next to your fingers because you want to take it out of the equation. If you help yourself with the thumb to lift the weight up, this becomes more of a grip exercise and not a finger containment exercise for arm wrestling. Exercise number 3 is the opti-cup curls at the pulley. There are so many different handles out there on the market for finger training. So let me give you the most important rule you need to follow no matter what kind of handle you use. The rule is very simple. The handle should simulate exactly the hand of your opponent from your own weight class. Let me explain what I mean by that. Usually when you pull in a real match, your grip over your opponent is something like this. That means when you train your fingers in the gym, the position in which you should start is exactly the same, like this. If you have handles that let you start with your fingers open up like this, don't use them because they don't simulate what you will actually need in a real match. And this is the mistake most beginners make. They train with handles that are way too thick for their hands. Listen, you don't prepare to pull against Levan, so take handles that really simulate the hand of your opponents from your own weight class. Keep in mind that this rule applies to every single wrist and finger exercise. So if you ask yourself, should I use fat grips for an exercise or not? Just think if the grip you will have is realistic. If by using fat grips you will grab the bar like this, don't use them. To be completely honest, as long as you follow this rule, all the handles are more or less the same. Like you could train it with the opti-cup, with the opti-puller, or you could even take the normal handles that you can attach to the metal frame. By the way, all the equipment you see in my videos is from Golden Grip, and with my code ALEX, you will get 10% off on any purchase you make at goldengrip.com. The link is down below. I also run a giveaway right now where you have the chance to win 2 professional arm wrestling handles. So if you are interested, stick around until the end of the video to find out more. And this is it. These are actually the most effective finger exercises for arm wrestling. Everything you see online is a variation of these three exercises I mentioned above. If an exercise is not in one of these three categories, most probably it is a grip strength exercise and not an exercise for arm wrestling. Some examples would be the plate pitches or the farmer's walk. Generally, these are great exercises, but these are not exercises for arm wrestling. These are exercises that will develop mainly your grip strength. So let me get to the tips, which are at least as important as the exercises themselves. Tip number one is to do a lot of table time. To do a lot of table time, that is obvious as an arm wrestler, right? But let me explain what I mean exactly when I say this. You have to understand, in arm wrestling, your fingers never really work alone. They always work together with another arm wrestling strength. For example, if you are a dragging hooker, your fingers will work together with your back pressure, with your back and with your brachioradialis. Or if you are a side pressure hooker, you will most probably apply your finger strength together with side pressure. I think you get the idea. In order to have the right coordination on the table between your fingers and all the other arm wrestling related strengths, you will have to do a lot of table time. Of course, you can include exercise to your training where you train multiple arm wrestling strengths in one exercise, but that cannot and will not be as effective as table time. I personally am a big believer in training every single arm wrestling strength in the gym isolated and use the table sessions to teach the body the right coordination between those areas. The next tip is to train your fingers statically. You have to understand the wrist and fingers consist of a lot of tendons, joints and ligaments. These structures get much stronger by training them statically. That's exactly the reason why many blue collars have such a strong grip, wrist and fingers. Because when you tie the rebar together the whole day, you are basically training your wrist and finger structure statically for hours, every single day. By the way, this applies to all these structures in general, not only for arm wrestling. So if you practice any other sport where you need a lot of tendons, joints and ligament strength, training statically might be the right answer for you. Let me show you a real-life example so you understand exactly what I mean. Let's take one of the exercises we covered in the beginning of the video, the thick barbell lift. Instead of letting the bar rest after every single repetition, you will just lift the weight up and hold it statically for a few seconds. You will have to try around and see what the best amount of time is for you. But that's basically it, pretty simple. And the last tip on the list is to never hold on to the opponent. This is a mistake most beginners make because they don't have the experience and they don't know when to slip. They focus way too much on the fingers and by doing that they end up holding on to the opponent. Unfortunately, there is nothing you can do today to fix this. Knowing when to slip and when to go into the strap comes only from experience and by practicing it thousands of times on the arm wrestling table. So make sure you do enough table time. So sometimes it is okay not to engage the fingers, to let them loose and to go into the strap. In the strap, the fingers are not that important anymore and your wrist will do the cupping movement. Now let me cover the topic of grippers. Grippers can be beneficial for arm wrestling, but only if you do them the way I will show you in a moment. So the traditional way of closing the grippers is to bend your wrist back in order to have more strength and then to close the grippers, which for arm wrestling is terrible. Never do this. In a real arm wrestling match, you always tie with your wrist completely straight. So that means when you train it in the gym, it doesn't matter what exercise you do, you should also start with your wrist straight. Remember the most important rule, what you do in the gym should simulate as good as possible what you do on the arm wrestling table. That means if you want to train with grippers for arm wrestling, you will train them like this. You will have a straight wrist and from here you will close the gripper. Of course, when you do it like this, you will not close the hard grippers. Is this an effective exercise? In my opinion, there are better exercises you can choose from. And the only reason why I would do this exercise is for recovery purposes or to pump the forearm. This was a complete breakdown on the topic fingers and finger containment for arm wrestling. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. The giveaway consists of two different arm wrestling handles, the wrist wrench and the opti-wrench. And to enter it, all you have to do is to go down to the video description and enter it with the link presented. With that being said, keep your eyes on this channel. Great stuff is coming.